Hey guys, glad you tuned in again for a new guide from Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and today we want to defeat Tete quite early in the game, still relatively at the beginning of Act 2, and I'll show you how it all works. When you fight him and meet him for the first time, it's relatively early at the coastal cave. There we can encounter him once and also attack him directly. At the very beginning of Act 2, it actually makes relatively little sense, unless you know his moves by heart and can parry every single strike. Because when you enter the fight, you'll quickly notice that the big Tete somehow has an HP bar of a few million and therefore doesn't really take any damage. But it's not a big deal, because you don't actually have to defeat him and attack him to bring his health down to 0. You just need to survive the fight long enough and then Tete will give up on his own. And for that you receive the Pictos Warmlaufen, which is one of the best Pictos in the game, as it increases damage by 5% each round. Additionally, you also get a very good foot for Monaco, which you would otherwise only receive quite late in the game, and it is relatively strong. That's why we definitely want these two items. And today I'll show you how to get them, or upon, early in the game. What you need for this is the Chalium weapon, and it is truly the game changer for this opponent, as it increases our shield every time we successfully parry in defense mode. Thus, with melee, we get a shield approximately 9 times per attack from him, and this works quite well. Of course, it's important that we parry the attack. You can find the weapon roughly in the middle of Act 2, specifically here on the right side on this small red island. There is the eerie cave, and we need to enter it once to find the special weapon. I'll quickly show you where it is, so if we continue from the checkpoint and arrive here in the middle, we then go left along this path and follow it. So once here, take the left corner and keep going straight through. And when you fly through here, you'll eventually come to a light that's shining here, where you can use the grappling hook. We won't use it now, instead we'll just keep going straight through, and then you'll see a glowing enemy at the back of the cave, which you need to defeat once to get the special weapon. Once you've defeated the guy, you'll get the weapon Chalium, and that's exactly what we need to increase our shields. With this new weapon you can also defeat Sprong. It's a bit more complicated with him though, as he deals significantly more damage and his attacks are not quite as predictable. But it's definitely worth it, because you'll also get the Pictos Schummler, which is one of the best Pictos in the game. I've also made a video guide about it on the channel, feel free to check it out. But first, let's take a look at the Pictos we are using here. We primarily use healing counters, enhanced counters, basically anything that increases counters. This is relatively important, but not entirely crucial, because with melee shield we are almost invulnerable, making the opponent super easy. As mentioned, the Pictos aren't that important, but healing, parry or enhanced counter are. You can definitely equip all these things. Healing counter is also very good, so anything that somehow enhances your counter is definitely useful here. Now let's take a look at the skills, and it's definitely about unlocking the skill. Mezzoforte. This allows you to assume the current stance again. And when you are in the defensive stance, you can assume it again directly and increase your shield. Yes, regarding the attributes, I just distributed them randomly. So there's really nothing special to consider here, because we don't have to defeat the opponent, we just have to endure. I'll show it again here. This is how I've currently skilled, and it actually works quite well. Yes, when we enter the battle now, it's important to use Mezzoforte to essentially bring back our defensive stance, or if you are without a stance, perhaps also the Fire Rain. That will also bring you back into the defensive stance. This works quite well if you are without a stance. When you are in the defensive stance, every block you make is essentially a shield. and you can see how quickly the shields increase in the bottom right. We are almost at +9 shield, right after the first round, making us nearly invulnerable. This way you can actually make a few mistakes in between. So if you don't hit the rhythm exactly and take a few hits, it's not that bad because Melee keeps boosting his shields with this skill. The important thing is to use the skill again when it's her turn to assume the stance again. And then we can parry again and recharge our shield. In the end, you just need to survive the fight. You don't need to deal damage, you don't need to kill him, you don't need to attack him. You just need to survive the fight. Of course, you can try hitting a bit, but it will do relatively little damage to him. You just need to survive until the end, and this sword allows you to do that with the new skill. And if you survive long enough, in my case he hadn't really lost much, and of course all the hits don't do much either. But if we survive until the end, he basically loses interest and gives up automatically. And yes, that's how we take the big Tete out of the game. And of course get his loot. In that sense we get the Pictos warm-up, which increases damage by 5% each round and is stackable up to 5 times. And if we take Monaco with us, which I highly recommend, we also get the big Tete foot, which is also quite good, giving you very good items relatively early in the game. So friends, let's continue, and next we'll take on the next big boss, and you can feel free to follow the guide. I'll link it for you in the outro, and I'd be happy if you tune in again. So until next time, take care, adios, and bye bye.